Hey guys, and welcome back to the Teach the Children podcast. I'm your host, Laura Battles, and this week I wanted to talk about something that is coming up here in the next few weeks, and that is our declaration of intents are due by September 15th. Those are due to your superintendent of the district you are zoned for your school. So I am zoned for Richland School District, so I will fill that out and then submit it into the Richland School District superintendent. If you are in the Kennewick School District, you send it out to the Kennewick School District superintendent, the Pasco superintendent if you live in Pasco, Walla Walla, Connell, Benton City, whatever school district you're zoned for across the state of Washington. Make sure you get this declaration of intent filled out and submitted into your superintendent on September 15th. If it happens to be a Saturday or Sunday, you can either turn it in on the Friday or the Monday, the Friday before, the Monday after. However, if it is during the working day, the working week, submit it on that day. And we always ask that you don't submit it in early, because then it just gives those people who are trying to change the laws a little extra power to say, hey, well, all the homeschoolers submitted early, so why don't we just change the law to have our declarations of intent submitted early? And we like it being on September 15th. It helps people who maybe aren't sure if they want to homeschool right away be able to get their kids out and then be able to submit the DOIs and not have a ton of extra, having to worry about one extra thing. It gives us a little extra time to make sure that maybe we're not going to put them in public school, so on and so forth. So we just ask that you wait till September 15th to submit this declaration of intent. Now, the best place to find your declaration of intent is not from your school district. They love to send these out to families and say, hey, use our form. It's so great. We'll even provide it for you. Don't use it. They always ask for more information that is required by the law. And again, the more information we give them, the more information they're eventually going to require and ask of us. So the least amount of information we can give them, the better. So the best place to find the Declaration of Intent is on the Washington Homeschool Organization's website. And I will link that in the comments below. I will also put it on the Teach the Children website so that way everybody can have access to the form. And it is really super simple to fill out. So the way you fill it out is you go out and pull it up. You can either type your answers in, you can write them in, whatever you want to do, whatever feels best for you and your family, do that. So the first thing it asks for is which school district you're in, and then the address of that school district. So for I'm in Richland School District, I would put Richland School District, then the address of the school district. And that is on Keene Road out here in West Richland. Why they need the address of the school district, I don't know, but let's put it in there. Then the next thing they're going to ask is your children's names. Now, these are only your children who are above the age of 8 on September 15th. So I have 3 kids, 7, 10, and 12. I am only going to submit this DOI on September 15th, showcasing my 2 older children. When my youngest turns 8 in December, I will then fill out this form and submit it in to the superintendent on that day, on his birthday. And then next year in 2026, I will include his name when I do it in September, and I won't have to do 2. Now, if your kid's birthday is like September 16th, go ahead and put them on this form. But if it's a couple months down the road, just wait until their birthday. That way you don't submit it too much earlier. And again, gives them more fuel for the fire to try to change the laws and showcase all our children much earlier. We don't need to do that. So the only other thing that it requires for information from your children is their names and their age. Don't put down what grade you think they're in. Don't put down hair color, how cute they are, any of those information, name and age. And what that does is it allows you, if you were to ever put your child back into public school, no judgment, if it happens, it happens. But if you were to need to do that, you aren't boxed into a specific grade. So they would come in and you could showcase them some schoolwork, or they might ask, hey, well, 10, but he's doing 5th grade schoolwork, or he's 10 and he's doing 8th grade schoolwork. And you could then maybe test him in or prove that he's doing that work. If I were to put my son's name, Jimmy John, down, and I would say now 5th grade, but then next year I decide to enroll him back in public school, he would then have to go into 6th grade. It would be a lot harder for me to prove, hey, but he's actually doing 8th grade work. Maybe he's doing 4th grade work, whatever the case may be. If you just put the name and age down, it gives you a lot more room to be able to say, this is where he's at, and this is where we need to meet him when we return him to public school. So, name of your children and their ages. Then it asks the question, if someone's going to be supervising your school. This is, again, one of the 4 ways you can be parent qualified to teach at home. The 4 ways are: you have superintendent approval, you or your spouse has 45 credits, you have someone certified, a certified teacher looking over your work at home, or you take the parent qualifying course. If you take any of those other 3, besides having someone look over your schoolwork, you don't have to check this box. But if you do have a certified teacher overlooking your schoolwork, then make sure you check that box so that they know that someone else besides you is overlooking your students, your children's information. I have 45 credits, so I don't check that box. I'm good to go. Then it asks for my signature and the date of which I sign it. So I put my signature down, the date I sign it. And then it asks for my address. And it does that to make sure I actually am in that school district. So I have a Benton City address, but we are zoned for the Richland School District. And sometimes it really throws people, and I constantly have to remind them, I'm actually in the Richland School District. Pull up your boundary chart. You will see that my house falls in the Richland School District. Especially if there's someone new to the district, they just are looking for, specifically in West Richland and Richland School District, they're looking for those 2 cities. This may also happen if you're in the Kennewick School District, but you live out there on that backside and you have a Benton City address, or you're in Benton City and you have a Kennewick address. Just make sure you put it all down there in case, say, you want to just double check where you're at so they know for sure that you're in that school district. They do keep numbers, the districts, of how many kids are homeschooled. And it's great because we can see the trends of the homeschooling going up. And it's great to see that those numbers increase every year as more and more people realize they can teach their children, and there are resources out there, and there is a homeschool community that will take care of them. So that is the declaration of intent. There are different ways you can submit it. You can physically walk into your superintendent's office. You can ask them to stamp that they've received it and then provide you a copy of that received declaration of intent, and then you go home and you keep it. I like to send mine in electronically. Loading up my kids, going down to the superintendent's office is just one more thing that I have to do. So I send it in. They're really good, or they were last year, about replying back that they have received it. I keep both of those emails in my electronic files in case anybody ever were to say, you didn't follow the rules, and I can pull up the emails and say, look, they did receive my declaration of intent, and I'm good to go. You could mail it in. If you're going to mail it in, include a return envelope that's already self-addressed and stamped and ready to be back, and say, can you please make a copy of the declaration of intent that you've stamped received, and here's an envelope to mail it straight back to me. Just make it super easy, super simple for them to get done. And they'll, as long as you aren't requiring them to do a ton of extra work, they'll take care of it. I also don't like confrontation, so I'm always afraid of going to the superintendent's office and them throwing how you need to prove this, and we need this, and we need that. And I've heard of those things happening, not so much around the Tri-City area, but across the state. And so in order for me to completely remove all conflict, I just email it in, and I can sit behind my computer with my cup of tea in the morning and be like, I did it, click, and it gets in. And again, when my son turns 8, I will do the same thing. I'll fill out the form and send it in when he turns 8. Not a big deal. So that is just the declaration of intent. I ask that you guys fill out the Washington Homeschool Organization's form. Some school districts like to try to slip in extra information that is not required. And again, that just adds more fuel to the fire for them to say, look, all these homeschoolers are telling us what grade and what color their kids' eyes are and what curriculum we use and blah, 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 blah. Just the more we don't tell them, the more they can say, look, no one's doing it, so why start now? And it just is helpful going on, moving forward. So that is the Declaration of Intent. Again, it's due September 15th. I really wanted to get this message out and remind everybody that is happening, because that date does sneak up on you, just like how September snuck up on me. And I'm like, oh my goodness, it's September. The weather has not gotten the memo that we are not in the middle of summer anymore, and it's going to be 105 again this next week. So drink water. If you go to the park, I think a lot of the splash pads are still open. Maybe this last Labor Day weekend they closed. I don't know. But just know that just because this public school has started, all those kids have gone back, doesn't mean we have to start. We are still doing a slow start around our house, even though our co-op starts this week, which I'm super excited about. But we're not going to dive into everything right away. I'm still planning a trip up to go camping, and that's what we're going to spend our fall doing, is just enjoying the cooler temperatures and hanging out outside and slowly starting the school year. So that is what I wanted to hop on here about this week. Declaration of Intent. Make sure you fill it out by September 15th. On a different note, the Homeschool Resource Center is slowly coming together. We have one class this week for a dyslexia class. That class is full, but I hope to have another one later on this fall where we can have a few more parents come in and learn about dyslexia and how they can help their kids out at home. And then I have a handful of parents or moms who are wanting to teach, and they're going to start up those classes here soon. So just be on the lookout for all those classes to start, and you'll see that on Teach the Children's website, Facebook page, and also be looking for the grand opening where you guys can come in and you can look at the store. It will take all of 10 minutes, but you can come hang out. And I have a bunch of extra books and curriculum that was given to me, and I have lots of duplicates, which makes me think the duplicates are like the hot and cool items to use at home. So come in and you can purchase those items, and every dollar that is spent at the center goes straight back in to the resource center. So just know that every time you buy something at the resource center, it is being used to pay rent, utilities, all the overhead costs, insurance, internet, all those things need to be paid. And so by purchasing at the resource center, it just helps to make sure this stays open for the community. With that note, I did put out a message last week on Facebook about 2 donors needed for internet and insurance. I had 2 people step up and cover those costs. And that is just, it's very humbling when you get those phone calls early in the morning and they're like, hey, I saw you have this need. We're going to cover it for you. And to get those early morning phone calls when, everything is still really just like shaking loose in my head, but just be able to, honestly, it floored me and it humbled me. And I was like, it just took my breath away to hear that people are going to be like, hey, we got you covered. Keep going and keep doing this, because I'm here to help you guys out in the community who want to homeschool. So we can all help each other. And by getting those 2 donors, it was just truly, it was a blessing. So thank you to both of them. And I'm going to tell you guys a little bit more about both of them later in upcoming podcasts, and I'll tell them about you on the Facebook page. But for right now, just know that the Resource Center is staying open and getting opened from people like you all. And so the next way you can help support the Resource Center, and you may be saying, I don't have a lot of money, how can I do that? Well, perfect. If you're listening to this podcast, go out and share it. Tell your friends about it. Tell your friends who maybe are on the fence about homeschooling. If you're a grandma and you're listening to this, share it to your grandkids or to your children who are homeschooling at home. Just get the word out there. I know I listen to podcasts more when friends share it to me than when I go out and just Google search it on the internet. So share, like, and subscribe to this channel. It helps get it out there more in front of people and just spreads the word about homeschooling and just how easy it is to homeschool your children, but also how much fun and exciting it is to watch your children catch on to something and you know that you're like right there, you have a front row seat. Let me tell you how many times I have sat there and been like, wow, they got that today and I got to watch it, not anybody else. I got to truly witness the light bulb turn on for them in whether it was reading or math, something in math, or they figured out what a topic sentence is, or recently in our house, what an adjective is versus an adverb. Oh my goodness, we've drilled that so many times. And all of a sudden when they're out somewhere, they're like, Mom, that's an adjective. And I'm like, it is, yay. So it's just really fun to see that and to be able to have a front row seat to all of it. So again, if you think this podcast is beneficial, share it, like it, subscribe to it. Also check out the Hungry for Wisdom podcast network, which this podcast is a part of. And it just helps spread the word about all the podcasts out there. And also, if you have a business that is looking to advertise, all the podcasts are looking for people who want to run ads on the podcast network. Oh my goodness, my tongue isn't working. So if you have a business and you want to promote it, let me know in the comments or send me a private message and we can get you hooked up with the advertising and get your business advertised on whether it be Teach the Children or on all 5 platforms, whatever works best for you. On that note, I just want to thank you guys again for tuning in, and don't forget your Declaration of Intents on September 15th. Until next time, thanks you guys.